For this vocal sound healing and activation, you can come to sitting or standing as you choose. Whatever position will really let you ground down into your foundation and create lots of space through your core, your chest, your throat, and up through your crown. And once you get there, just coming into some cleansing breaths in through your nose, and then a long exhale out through your mouth like a sigh. Just calling on unconditional love, protection, and support. Continue to take your cleansing breaths and just starting to say hello to your body, your temple, by tapping with your fingertips, starting at your head and moving down through your body, through your face, your third eye, your jaw and throat. Coming on down to your heart center, your thymus, into your arms and hands, into your belly, and just saying hello to your body as your temple, as the vehicle for your voice, your expression as you come down into your lower back, into your legs. Hello, body. All the way down into your feet. A couple more breaths here. Shoo. And just connecting with your body still now, with your sound, with your voice. Connect with your core, your center, and downwards through your root, down through your leg, through your root chakra. We're going to use the sound yo, and just drop the sound down into your roots. Yo. Let it float downwards. Yo. Grounding you down for one more. Yo. Staying connected to your roots and repeating after me. I now release all insecurities, all memories of rejection, all fears of persecution, causing me to hide and block my voice and suppress my expression. I release these now, so be it. And big breath in and out and down through your roots. Release, release, release all fears, all rejection, all insecurities. And then come back into your center, into your core, into your heart. And we'll move the sound out and up with a ya. And you can feel free to throw your arms open and out to help. So it's a ya. Let the sound move. Ya. Wherever it wants to go to. Ya. Let it go. One more. Ya. And then repeating after me, saying, I now dissolve the energy of all hurtful words I've ever spoken or I've ever received. And I release all beliefs that say that my voice is ugly, unimportant, or not good enough. I release this now and set myself free, so be it. And some breaths into that, breathing that into your heart, your throat, and release. And now just invite golden light to be threaded on the sound of the bowls. Breathing in this golden light of sound into all spaces that have been cleaned and cleared, shifted around your voice and expression, just bringing in your healing codes and your ability to express freely, easily, confidently, authentically. Take a breath in and holding, inviting everything that's shifted for your highest and deepest to stabilize, 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 and integrate. As you breathe out, expanding that through your entire field. And breathing in one more time, holding for a moment. And just with gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you. Breathing out gratitude as you expand.
Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have Tiffany Sparrow. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome.
It's great to be here.
Tiffany first discovered the healing power of sound through her own journey recovering from eating disorders as a teen. Singing, sound, and yoga were more effective in healing her wounds than talk therapy. She now mentors others to free their natural voice, find home in their own skin, and learn to use the power of embodied sound to heal themselves and to lead sound journeys for others. Tiffany is the creator of Vocal Lib, a sacred container to activate your embodied voice and unapologetic expression. Tiffany is a certified music counselor, therapist, sound therapist, ethnomusicologist, and yoga therapist, yoga teacher. She's also a recording artist with albums that include mantras, medicine songs, and original singer-songwriter tunes available on Spotify and Apple Music. And she's honored to serve others in this journey of remembering who we really are. Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
Well,
What have,
thank you.
what have you been up to lately?
Oh goodness. Raising a boisterous 2-year-old takes up a lot of my time right now. Between that, events and working with clients, and at this time we're just moving into spring, so getting outside. So that's been occupying my time. It's been really great.
Cool. And where are you located?
So I'm in Canada. I'm in the province Alberta, and right now I'm in the city called Edmonton.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so here's the big question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people?
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. To me, when it comes to helping people, really, it's not even so much about the money. I mean, of course, if I had all the money in the world, I'd want to invest it in brilliant recordings and just have beautiful music available in all spaces for all people. I would also potentially bring sound into political conventions and UN and just have sound sessions available there. But all that being said, my actual belief is that what really helps people is by cleaning up our side of the street and doing our personal work and digging in deep within ourselves. And so I would really, I'd focus on Lokasamasta Sukino Bhavantu within me, making sure that I can uproot as much of the roots of karmic suffering as possible so that I can live by example in the world.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, what's your presentation about today?
Yeah, beautiful. So my presentation is all about, it's called vocal liberation. So voice in sound therapy, and we'll talk about some of the myths that often come up around voice, and then the medicine and the magic around using your voice as a tool, as an instrument for healing.
Cool. Okay, we're all set.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for this opportunity I wanted to say, and just the initiative that you're doing with all of this to put this out there in a big way to the globe. So thank you for including me as part of this.
Cool. Okay.
Here come my
It'll
slides.
take a little second for it to start sharing.
Well, as it's sharing, my first thing I'd love us to do is just to get present, actually. And so here's my opening slide. And let's get present. Let's get present with a bit of sound and breath and some good things. So just inviting for you, David, or whoever's tuning in, to just take a couple of what I call cleansing breaths, what a lot of us call cleansing breaths, by breathing in through your nose and just exhaling, long exhale through your mouth in some way. It could be an F or a H or a sh. And just do a couple of breaths like that, allowing the breath to come out as it wants to come out. Inviting yourself to get present, tuning into the sound of your breath. And keep taking some cleansing breaths like that. Now the invitation is to start to shake it out a little. So I'm on a medicine ball, so I can really shake it out, but just feel free to, if you want to stand even a little, let your shoulders kind of bounce, let your knees and your legs bounce and kind of floppy here, especially on the exhales. I'm just going to play a little bit of sound with this to help us just loosen anything from the day so far with the breath, with your movement. Oh. Beautiful. And then just come to stillness, either in standing or sitting, as you like. And we'll continue to say hello to body, body being our vessel for the sound of voice. And I invite you to rub your hands together, connecting energy into your hands, and then just placing your hands somewhere around your heart, around your center, one hand, both hands, as you like. And then similar to the cleansing breaths, but this time as you breathe out, directing your breath through your hands, through your heart, and adding a bit of sound, whatever sound will help you connect into your heart center. Oh, whatever that sound is for you today. Doesn't have to be like what I'm doing. Sending sound through your chest, through your heart center, your thymus, wherever your hands are. One more. Ooh. And then wrap your hands again together. And then I invite you to take them lower down onto your body, onto your lower belly, lower back. And same kind of process here, breathing in deeply. And if you can, exhale, drop your sound, as though into your base, into your roots, whatever that sound is, to connect you in. There it is for me. Good. One more. Good. And take your hands together, rub them one more time. And then placing your hands somewhere around your eyes, your forehead, side, temples, somewhere like that that resonates for you. And same kind of thing. We're going to breathe in and a sound into the space behind our hand. Really focusing on connecting your sound into your body as much as you can, the feeling of your sound. And I'm just going to play my Shruti box for us here as a bit of sustained sound for a bit of humming. So tuning into the feeling of your sound, especially connecting it to your center, helping it ground you center and down. And just pick a tone near your speaking voice. So for me, that was going to be right around here, but it doesn't have to be. It can be down here or lower, or it can be up here or anywhere in between, really. Bring your lips together, relax your jaw and your tongue, and vibrate your sound. Yummy. Breathing when you need to. One more. Feel the sensation of your sound in your body. Let's do one more. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome, welcome here. And just holding the space for all parts of self to be present here and now. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome, welcome here. Beautiful job. Opening your eyes if they aren't already open, meeting me back in the space. Thank you for that. Okay. So just the last piece I would invite you to reflect on really briefly as we go into this conversation about voice, vocal liberation, voice as a sound healing tool. So what is drawing you to learn about vocal sound as a healing tool? Or what are your intentions or your dreams or your wishes for your own voice, your own vocal sound, your own ability to use sound as a healing tool? Just see if you can find what's drawing you to this talk and be with that. Maybe there's one, or maybe there's a few things popping out for you. You could write it down if you have something to write notes with. What's your dream or your intention for this learning that you're stepping into? And then take a big breath in and hold. And then just imagine it expanding in all directions. Beautiful. And I won't really belabor this because David already introduced me, but suffice to say that it's been through my own practice that I've really come to understand the power of sound and to really tap into my voice, to tap into my body and heal the different things going on in my own life through sound and embodiment practices combined, so much that I made it my profession. I'm a clinical music therapist, yoga teacher. I've got my master's in ethnomusicology, which is just a fancy word to say study of music and culture and how sound impacts our culture. I'm, of course, a sound therapist and recording artist, so all those things, and I love supporting people with wellness and sound. So that's a bit about me, a little bit more. And yeah, here's a really beautiful quote by Arvo Pärt, who is a phenomenal musician and composer in a lot of ways. And so he said, the human voice is the most perfect instrument of all. And yeah, powerful statement, bold statement perhaps. And I'm wondering, as you're tuning in here, you're sitting here listening to this conversation, if this resonates with you. Does this resonate with you? Do you feel that your vocal sound is a real big part of your medicine? And if you answered yes, or even maybe, or oh, I'm not sure, you're in the right place here. But just tuning into how this quote resonates for you. All right. So let me start by just, I guess, continue by talking about vocal liberation a little bit more, perhaps unpacking the term a little bit more as I use it, anyways, or just what I mean by vocal liberation when I'm talking about vocal liberation. And so basically, for me, vocal liberation means to free up your literal voice. Speaking and singing voice through vocal embodiment practices, guided journeys, etc., in order to access and to uncover more of your authentic, what I call your metaphorical voice. So by that I mean how you express in the world, how you show up, how you create, how you co-create with the universe and in truth and with authenticity as much as possible. How you use your literal voice to uncover your metaphorical voice and the combination of the two. And so it involves often healing and actually alchemizing or transforming patterns that we've adopted for various reasons, various patterns of suppression, of repression, of inauthenticity, of posturing, of all of the veils and layers that we learn or need to put on to protect or in some way shield our authentic heart and our heart voice. And so it's a matter of starting to peel back those layers to just allow what's there to shine through and fortify ourselves and strengthen ourselves from the inside out so that that can shine and blossom through. And so connecting with organic vibration, so your vibration as opposed to trying to sound like somebody else, finding what I call your heart voice, that place where heart and voice blend, and all of the loving kindness, compassion, and boundaries, all that stuff can come out through your expression and your creativity in the world. And just also really reclaiming your voice as a healing tool. And I'll talk more about that and just the way that our voices are sometimes perceived or the things that hold us back from using our voice. So just stepping into this idea that my voice can really be a powerful tool for my transformation and for others. And then a little bit more about vocal sound healing, perhaps, and just like any sound healing that's out there, really, it's just a sound experience or whatever kind of word you want to use to define that, be it a sound journey, sound meditation, etc., where voice is featured as a main instrument. And this is really, I feel like, a really powerful, and in my experience, not just my feeling, my experience, using sound or using voice as a sound instrument is really a powerful thing that I really encourage the people that come and learn from me and that train with me to, yes, we want to lean into instruments, and instruments are great, but also we need to lean into voice, and voice being a real foundational component that we lean into. And so it's not necessarily just voice, a vocal sound healing, and voice can show up in different ways in terms of just whether it's at the forefront, or maybe in something more like a kirtan or a song circle, there would be more use of voice versus other experiences where there might be more instrumental, blending in or coming in around voice, etc. There's also components of obviously improvised in the moment sounding. A lot of it's in the moment, as a lot of sound bath, sound journey, sound therapy is. And that's simply to really meet ourselves, meet others, if we're holding space for others, where they're at, and use sound to reflect that. So that's a real key component too. There is both active and receptive sounding. So active sounding where everyone, be it facilitator and participant, everyone's actively making sound with voice, etc. And then there's receptive sounding, which moves us more into the realm of embodied listening, actually, where the sound is received, maybe made by the facilitator, received by participant, and we can tap into this embodied listening. So receiving information through our bodies, through our senses. What What do we sense? What do we feel emotionally? What do we see? Colors, images, memories, all that kind of stuff. And really using the sound experience to journey as opposed to try to force stillness. That's really the perspective that I take, journeying, inquiring, and receiving information. And there are lots of ways to use the voice in sound sessions. I have here on this slide is lots of ways for our voice to show up in the session, whether you're a participant or a space holder of some sort. And I've just listed a few here. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, but these are the ones that I tend to lean into most often. And so there are, of course, breath sounds, which we experienced earlier in our grounding and getting present moment. So the h's and the f, the sh, the breath sounds, which can then really beautifully move into intoned or vocative sounds, which we also did some humming. That can evolve into ahs and a's and e's and different vowel sounds. And also consonants with breath can be really interesting to explore the and the consonant sounds in an improvisational style. And then we can get into a little more structure, say that word loosely, but just we can definitely mantras can show up. So intoned sacred phrases. Affirmations can be intoned, songs, sung words. There's, I guess maybe more structure around the sound that way. And then there's also speaking, and I love to incorporate speaking in really potent drops, not everywhere and at all times, but to bring speaking into sound sessions, whether it's a reflective question, like I had us do at the beginning, where we speak about it with someone, setting intentions and then putting those into our words. So not just thinking, although the internal sound listening is part of it too, which is the next point, but verbalizing and speaking out intentions. Sometimes I include spoken affirmations or release commands to direct sound and breath. And that comes into the next point, the verbal guidance. So I will often encourage people who are holding space in sound to occasionally give verbal guidance, because it's a great way to provide structure and direction to sound. We know that sound, to be effective, requires a few things, and one of them is that intention, that direction. And so verbal guidance, well placed, again, not all the time, can really help to give direction to sound for transformation. So for example, if it feels good to you, breathe the sound up along your back body. And then as you exhale, imagine dropping the sound down your front body. For example, could be a way to direct the flow of sound around your body, around your experience for a certain effect, as an example. Last way to use a voice in sound sessions is the inner voice, the listening, and the taking in of information, and the noticing around, what is the impact of this, and tuning into the inner awareness, the inner sounds that come from that. Good. Okay. Hope this is all making sense. You can give yourself a quick, let's actually just take a quick inhale, cleansing breath. And exhale, just inviting all of that information so far to be integrated as we move on to just one more point before we get into some of the myths that come up around voice. So this ties into the quote from Arvo Part around voice, and in my experience and in my opinion, voice is one of the most powerful sound tools, which is why I'm speaking to you about it here. And here's a few reasons for those of us that like the reasons, or just like to feel and to think into it. So part of the reason why it's powerful is that it's versatile, and that you can bring it with you. You can access it anywhere. It takes you don't need roadies to bring your voice with you. I sometimes feel like I need roadies setting up for sound sessions. But you can bring it with you everywhere and anywhere, and you can access it in your car, on an airplane, in a busy, crowded place. It's really versatile that way. The other component is that it's inside you, so it's really vibroacoustic. So you're not just receiving sound topically from the outside. When you use your own voice, you are receiving sound from the inside, and you're literally vibrating your body from the inside out in a really, really beautiful way. I found it to be an active form of sound making, as we touched on really briefly earlier. And I find that using your voice is a really, really effective way to connect with emotions, to move emotions, to transform emotions. And man, observing my 2-year-old boy is just, there's like, zero filter. Not that we shouldn't have a filter, but he really uses his voice in different ways to connect with and to express and to move his emotions. So we can do that too with our voices in our practice. And lastly, it's evocative, right? We are actually literally hardwired as humans to respond to voices. Sociologists will say that before language evolved, we intoned, we sounded, we sung perhaps more, right? So we are hardwired to respond, even as a survival mechanism, to our human voice. And so for that reason, it can be really effective for evoking response when it comes to transformation and sound. One more quote here. It only takes one voice at the right pitch to start an avalanche. So the power of your voice, can really create change and act as seeds that can create an entirely new path for yourself and for others. Yes. All right. So if you care to, just taking another breath in and out, shaking off if you need to. I'm a big fan of just shifting around. It's another way to connect to your body, the instrument for your voice, your voice instrument. And let's get into some of the myths and the medicine of vocal liberation in sound healing, of the voice in sound healing. The first myth is all, and I've got vocal in parentheses, but all vocal sound is healing, period. And I include this here for a couple of reasons. Often when I tell people what I do, and it's an awesome response, often people are like, oh my gosh, yes, music sound is so healing. And it is, and it can be, and that's the distinction I would like to make, that sound, vocal sound, any sound can be healing, but it's not necessarily just healing, period. And it's just really important to make that distinction, because that's really where the healing is in some of that distinction, as opposed to just a general wash. And so I'm inviting us to do that. And so the medicine here to this myth is that not all sound is healing for all people at all times. And science is showing us this, right? So not all sound is healing to all people at all times. And this is because a lot of the impact is not just in the sound itself. Sound's just not just in a vacuum by itself. And a lot of the impact actually comes in how the sound is administered. I mean, what are the components and elements of sound? How are they being used? And then what are we bringing to it as receivers, right? It's not just like sound is just this thing that's operating in a vacuum. We're bringing our preferences and histories and all, the traumas or joys, all the things to it, which impacts how it impacts us. And so I would say with all that, depending on how sound is applied, some of it is neutral, right? It's just there. Maybe it's in the background. It maybe has a little impact, but not a whole ton of long-term transformational healing values, just neutral. And that's fine too. And then there is some sound that can be powerfully healing, and also some sound that can have negative impact, right? So it can overwhelm, it can harm sometimes as much as it can heal, depending on how it's applied, when and where and with who, kind of thing. It can dysregulate, can have the opposite effect that isn't intended. And especially when we're talking about physiology, like this is classic. Sometimes we're trying to lower blood pressure and heart rate. There's all those research studies that talk about that, and there's some sound that actually can elevate blood pressure and heart rate and stimulate, right? So, and depending on what sound it is, it can re-traumatize. So we know that familiar sound or songs can be linked strongly to certain things that we've done or certain events. So if it's a familiar song, sometimes it can bring us right back there, which can be useful, or it can take us over the top, kind of thing, right? So it's really part of why I created a sound training that I did, because there were quite a few people coming to me to teach them because they knew my background in music therapy and sound therapy. And they'd been to some sessions where I'd left them feeling unbalanced and wanting to understand that. So I offer that to you right now as a distinction that you're ready to hear and ready to know about. And so we know that not just any sound, be it vocal sound or otherwise, will be necessarily healing, even if someone calls it that, right? Even if it's called a sound healing, even if YouTube, says blah, 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 blah. It's more that the right sound at the right time with the right focus or intention in the right way can lead to accelerated healing, can really contribute to our healing. And so it's not necessarily a direct equation, but that it can really impact our transformation. So right sound, right time, in the right way can really be beneficial for our healing and transformation. So what does this mean for us? You're sitting at home, okay, that's cool, Tiffany. So what can I do with this and about this? So a couple of things I would suggest to you is to tune in, really tune in. So that embodied listening I was talking about, this becomes really important here. Tune into how sound impacts you in the moment. Practice embodied listening, sensations, emotions. And by the way, just because something feels a little uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not healing. But if we're getting into the realm of unbearable or dysregulating or really overpowering, then yeah, it can potentially set us into a spin that's difficult to get out of. And as I said, don't just take someone's word. Be a sacred sound scientist. Explore and deepen into your embodied listening. And just because YouTube says it restores and repairs your DNA or whatever other jazz hands kind of marketing statement it's going to call the sound or whatever, don't just take the word for it. Instead, actually just really tune in. Does the song Happy make you feel happy? Maybe not. Maybe it makes you feel annoyed, right? For example, just because it's called something doesn't mean it's going to be that thing. And interact with the sound, right? So part of the healing impact of sound is deeply tuning in, trusting, and interacting in a real sound in the foreground kind of way. It's my focus. What am I receiving from it? Okay, so that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do in this sense is to try and use a variety of sounds and combine voice with instruments, as I was pointing to or speaking to earlier. So kind of like food, a healthy sound session includes a balance nutrition of sound, a balanced variety, obviously not like a whole like chaotic bunch, but a variety. And there are definitely some instruments that, if used like overly too much, can create imbalance or can create overstimulation or just too much for too long. And for example, crystal singing bowls, which I love crystal singing bowls. I use them all the time, and so I'm not trying to poo-poo them. But the crystal sound can be pretty pure. It can be powerful and all-encompassing in ways because of the phasing and how we perceive it psychologically, physiologically. And it can make crystal bowls actually quite stimulating for some people, and it can create stimulation in the nervous system that for especially sensitive souls, it can be too much. What I have found, so yeah, that's why I encourage a variety. And then I have found, I've worked with a few people who are easily just really rubbed or dysregulated, as I'll call it, by crystal sound. And I found with them that adding the voice, toning, oohing, something with the crystal sound is a way to navigate and to work with and to integrate. I don't, probably because it can just really help counterbalance the dysregulation. It adds a different harmonic, our voice does, and it gives them something else to focus on. So that variety is a thing you can lean into as well. And then here's an area where you might want to get support and mentorship, right? So if you're unsure for yourself, if you're unsure what to do, get a session with a professional. And this is, of course, especially important if you're ever thinking about offering sound publicly kind of beyond your own personal domain. But even so, if you're using sound for your own self-healing, mentoring with someone who has the knowledge and awareness of what different sounds can do and to give you feedback or help you navigate if something's not feeling quite right or on, mentorship can really maximize your growth. It can save you lots of time and effort, trial and error. That's the word I'm looking for. By tuning into what others have learned and distilled for themselves. And this is going to be part of my offer for you to bring clarity to your path of using sound and using your voice. And yeah, definitely can be really an important piece to lean into in a variety of ways. And this is Allison. This is somebody that I've worked with, and just to give a really short snapshot, I don't know if hopefully that's legible, but short snapshot of her experience and story. And so she basically came to work with me because she'd been involved in a sound session that she didn't feel right about. And so she says, it got really intense. It left me and others feeling overwhelmed, and I didn't speak up about it at the time. So that's key for her. And so she came to study. She wanted to know more about what happens in the body and in the brain in sound bath, and how to avoid creating overwhelm with sound. And then she says, I'm so glad I took this course. I'm amazed at how quickly my voice opened up. It supported incredible personal growth and helped me find my boundaries, which has deepened my relationships and added to my business. So that's Allison. She's a space holder, sound practitioner, and her business is called Wandering Obsession. All right. Okay. So before we move on to this next myth, before I talk about it a little bit more, let's just take an integrating cleansing breath in through your nose. And any sound that needs to come out. Ooh, just to remain and stay and whoops. There's my Shruti box giving us a little bit of sound to help us out. How about that for in the moment sounding? As we move on to our next myth. So this next myth is this idea that I have to be a professional singer musician to use my voice for impactful transformation. Yes, and this can be a big one for a lot of us, maybe a lot of you tuning in here. So just just take note if you're tuning in and you feel like you've got to be at America's Got Talent caliber to use your voice. If that's running for you, just know that that is not entirely true, that is actually a myth. Okay, so some of the medicine pieces to this myth is that connection and access to your voice for healing is your birthright, right? We're born with our voice. We're born with the ability to sound, so our voice is our first instrument, and it's important to really get that we don't have to be a trained singer to use it to benefit. Yes, training, working with it, practicing, singing, using your voice can help to strengthen, can help to hone your sound, but it's not important to be at that quote unquote professional level in order to use it for benefit. And actually, a lot of the people that come in to work with me would not consider themselves professional, maybe dabblers, maybe interested, that kind of thing. And definitely when we start to offer to other people, spending time to hone our craft is important. But we don't necessarily have to. It's about the judgment is what I'm trying to get at with this whole thing of like, I need to be a certain level, or I need to be, Carrie Underwood or Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift or whatever it is with my voice in order to start to use it. No. And it can feel intimidating to use your voice, especially if you don't consider yourself professional, especially if there's been all those stories that a lot of us have grown up with around too much, too little, mouth the words, all that kind of thing, right? So there are definitely things we can do to recognize this, and it's to really lean into the powerful healing benefit of using your voice. And just to name a couple of the benefits of using your voice as a sound tool, it's can amplify oxygenation, your breath deepens, lengthens. It's like a natural breath work, it's natural pranayama. It can tonify muscles, especially in your core and in fact all over your body, because your whole body is your instrument. It can boost your mood. There's release of endorphins, and there's just that natural vehicle of expression, so you can help to move those emotions as I spoke about earlier. And so I really invite you and all of us to claim the space of I have the right to use my voice as a healing tool for myself and claim that with gentle sovereignty, right? I give myself permission to sound, claim that. And as a way to connect with our soul, with our soul essence. And this is really empowering once we can really allow that, you know what, my voice is a window to my soul, and therefore I want to love it. I want to claim it. Another piece around this is just to remember that music is in our nature, right? So we already have the components or the elements of sound in us already. For example, we have rhythms, we have our heartbeat, we have our breath, we have blinking, we have circadian rhythm, we have brain waves, we have rhythm already in us. We operate at different speeds depending on the different time of day. We are faster, slower. We are at different volumes depending on, again, different situations. We have melody in our voices. Our voices aren't just like this in one tone. We definitely have melody and harmony within our system. So just know that the elements of music and sound are within you already, and to stand in that birthright. So what to do here? The biggest thing is to, when using your voice for healing, the invitation is to reframe. Reframe your relationship with your voice, with singing. And this is a big, big, big part of the vocal liberation work that I do with people and what comes up in it. Okay, so we focus on the voice as a vessel for wellness, not a product for entertainment. The focus and the intention is different than performance. And it means accessing our voice in a way that's non-performative, that steps out of all of the boxes of the good, the bad, and some of the entertainment standards or the fads, really. Entertainment's really a fad, and just what is good and bad changes. So we step out of that box. And I've collected some phrases from teachers and myself kind of over the years, people that I've really beautifully and have so much reverence for having worked with over the years. So what we want to do is to sing, to express, not to try to impress anybody. We're using our voice as an expression tool. We want to sound out our voices to transform, to bring healing, not to perform and posture and try to sound like someone else or be something different other than what we are. We sing to accept, not to perfect. Because guess what? It's never, what is perfection anyways, right? So it's never going to be completely auto-tuned or completely, everything robotic. It's not going to be AI, your natural voice, nor do we want it to be. We're coming to a deeper acceptance of who we are in our organic nature. And we use our voice to repair, not to compare. We're not trying to be or sound or do anything else, because guess what? Our vibration, our voice is needed. Instead, I invite you to focus on the feeling sensation. How does it feel? How do the vibrations feel? How does it feel emotionally? And get as playful as possible. I'll often say the sillier, the better. So if it's like, I feel really silly exploring my voice, awesome. Let's have some fun. Kids have got it right in so many ways, right? They just let it rip in a lot of ways. And so instead of focusing on the quality of music or on the musical skill, etc., focus on the non-musical. The benefits that you receive, the physical things you feel, the emotional benefits, okay, not the musical skill, because it's not about polishing, perfecting. We got to really reframe. I could talk about this all day, I think. This is one of my soapbox topics. Reframe our relationship with our voice and singing. And so another thing that might help is to think about singing like lengthened speech. So if you can, here's a phrase, I don't know where I grabbed this from, but if you can breathe, you can talk. If you can talk, you can sing. And so what I mean by that, on the next slide, here's a couple other examples or things you can do. It's the second point, right? So anything that you say, for example, an affirmation, this first one I've got here, I am loved. I am loved. Slowing it down, I am loved. Slow it down even more. I am loved. And all of a sudden, I am loved. I'm starting to sing it rather than speak it. So that would be a really entry level into using your voice. Start to slow down some affirmations. All is welcome here. All is welcome here. All is welcome here. All is welcome here, for example, right? I hope you were trying it with me, and if you weren't, feel free to try it on your own. What's I have something to say. I have something to sing. I have something to say. I have something to sing. I have something to say and sing, right? So starting around your speaking natural tone doesn't have to be what mine is, right? And starting to slow down and lengthen is a really great entry into your voice. So is humming. Humming, yum, we can all hum basically, right? So it's just extending that hum, giving yourself permission to hum. There's been lots written, Jonathan Goldman, etc., started to speak about humming. It's a pranayama. There's lots of benefits to humming in and of itself. And then just start to sing in the shower, sing in the car, just starting to find ways to enter. I'm saying just, but starting to find ways to enter into using your voice in a sung capacity. And that will translate into your speaking as well. So just a few ideas for that. Ultimately, yes, your unique vibration is valued and important, okay? We're all musical in our own way. This is really important. We don't want to sound like anyone else. Our unique vibration, our voice is needed. It's just needed for ourselves and for others. We're here for a reason. So let's open up that organic, natural sound. Why not? Here's another little conversation from someone that I've worked with, Daphne from Healing Hands, about finding her voice and spark. And she said, working with Tiffany brought the spark back to my life. Yes, that's one of my intentions. I really didn't think I could sing, but with her guidance, I found my voice in a way I never have before. And she says, I found my confidence. And when I say I love you to myself, I actually mean it. I love you. Thank you, Daphne. All right. This will be the last myth that I get into. So let's again just take a cleansing breath with sound, a little sound break to integrate. Just allowing all of that information, anything that arose for you to integrate and to transmute and to flow through so you can stay present here for this last myth. I'm going to take a little sip of water. If you want to take some hydration, you can too. All right. So this last one is a big one as well. And it's kind of a belief as much as it is a myth or a belief that I hear from a lot of people. And it's this idea that I get so nervous and I hate the sound of my voice. So I can't share my voice until I build more confidence and feel better about my voice. Or this idea that I can't share it until I feel better, until I feel less nervous, until I hate the sound of my voice less. And so to this one, I would ask anyone tuning in, if this resonates for you, if you have any singing or voice trauma, I'll call it trauma around this, or hang-ups around your voice. Have you been told things about your voice that you're too loud or too soft, or maybe told to mouth the words, right? It's definitely something that I encounter a lot with the people that I work with. It's something I've come through, just my body image issues correlated to, I don't know if you'd call it dysphonia, but just not perceiving or not liking the sound of my voice, just like I didn't like my body. And so I've been through this as well. And let me tell you, there is a path through. There is a way through. So have faith if you are there and you just get nervous and you don't like the sound of your voice. The medicine to this myth is the best way to find both your metaphorical, big world collective voice and your literal voice is to use it. You find your voice by using your voice, not the other way around, okay? You can't wait to suddenly find your voice and then use it, right? It doesn't just like poof, suddenly one day, there it is. A big part of the process of uncovering and building, strengthening your literal and metaphorical voice is in the using of it. And I almost can't stress this enough. The other thing that I will speak to you around that myth is that nerves never go away completely, nor do we actually want them to. And we do find ways to work with and work through and reframe and lean into enjoyment and fun. That's one way through for me, is when I'm offering anything kind of publicly, I really connect with love and enjoyment and fun as much as possible. But really, as you find your voice, you start to build a different relationship with nerves, with fear, with confidence, right? You start to be able to feel the fear and allow it to bring spark to what you're offering, or to do it anyways, or to not need to completely check out of your body, to be able to stay in your body while still feeling some of that worry and finding ways to, we definitely work to process it more quickly. So there is a way through, but it doesn't completely vanish, and I'm just being honest with you, and it's good. It's okay. The other piece of medicine, I've got a couple pieces of medicine here, is that our perception of our voice. So those of us that are like, oh my gosh, I listened to a recording and I really don't like the sound of my voice. So the perception of our voice it gets distorted. And so we, in a couple of ways, we physically, literally don't hear ourselves as other people do. And this is because we hear ourselves both through our ears, but also internally. So we hear through our ears, but even then, our hearing device is behind the sound source, right? So we're already not hearing ourselves as other people are hearing us. And then we receive sound internally because we're making the sound, right? So we have our sound going through and being registered by our brain, but processed through layers of bone conduction and tissue and other internal filters that make it so we don't actually hear ourselves as others do. And so this is partially why we can be surprised by how we sound in a recording. And that's partly why it's like, I don't like that, because it's just unfamiliar. It's not what we've come to know on the inside, and it can be part of why we don't think we sound as good as we do. The other piece I didn't mention here is just the technology, right? Different recording devices, and as I'm sure David and many will attest to, that capture our sound in different ways, for better or worse. Some are really, tinny, and it sounds like you're speaking into a tin can, and some are really excellent recording devices and capture the full range and more of their harmonics, etc. And just some are more low end. So the recording device can make a difference. But then a more important piece that I really like to focus on here in this is the psychological component. That when it comes to our own voices, we psychologically focus on things that others don't. We actually focus on the trees for the forest. We hear things, we focus on things, we hyperfixate, hypercritical, as I've got in the notes here. We can get hypercritical in ways that when people are receiving our sound and our voice, they don't perceive that, or it doesn't register in the same way. And I remember doing one of my first sound recordings, and I couldn't even listen back right away. That the audio engineer had to edit it before I was ready, because I just wasn't ready because of this psychological hyper focus. But I'm really happy to say today that I listened back right away, that I've moved through that, partly through exposing myself and doing it, but through other processes of coming to terms with embracing my sound and loving my sound. Okay. And this last point here that I have that I've recently heard, there is some research linking body image issues and dysmorphia to vocal dysmorphia, is what they were calling it. Now, just to the sense of if I don't like things about my body, I also probably won't like things about my voice, or just that hyperfixation that we can do about our body or in pictures, right? You might have done that as well, just like, oh, I'm picking yourself apart, whereas other ones are like, oh, you look great. Same kind of thing can happen with our voice. And so it's a matter of us coming to terms with our heart voice and valuing our heart voice more and more and more. And that is through this process of recognizing the genius in our so-called quote unquote flaws. All these things that we think are our Achilles heel, or the things that if my voice is grating, or my voice is too this or that, or it breaks, or it's too muted or too low, or whatever it is, that's where our genius is. And that, my friends, is when I'm working with people, that we start to wade into that. So we can start to open that up, as opposed to trying to fix it, correct it, get rid of it, shove it in the corner. That's where the genius is. Okay. Yes, I get really passionate about this as well. So this quote In the cave of our deepest fears lies the treasure you seek. So all of those things that we criticize, that we're afraid to open into, that we hyperfixate on around our voice, around whatever else, there is brilliance in that. There is really our medicine for ourselves and probably for others. So it's about leaning in, wading into that beautiful swamp for the lotus to bloom through it. And this as well is where getting support can be really helpful because, take it from experience. I can really, I definitely spun around in that for a long time, and I definitely have had support to move through that. And there is a way through. There is a way to come to a point where it's like, I embrace my sound. I give myself permission to sound. I give myself permission for my voice to, to do kind of wonky things if it needs to. And that is great. And there's beauty and brilliance in that. So there's genius in our flaws. Take a big breath in and out. Here's Janice, another person that I had the great privilege of working with, speaking about finding confidence by leaning into and facing fears. And she says, I quote, "My big wins from working with Tiffany are my mental health is so much better. I have tools that actually help me calm my nervous system and protect my energy. My confidence has grown. Working with my voice and getting the courage to use my voice during a sound bath was huge for me, and it was. I remember that for her. And I've learned to play these instruments, and the fact that I can get creative is a big win." So that's Janice Schott. She's a sound practitioner, yoga teacher, former nurse. And yeah, found confidence by digging in and working with her fears. All right. Beautiful. So I'm just going to invite all of that to land for you, for all of us, in a little process here, an integration process, if you will, if we will. Let's see where I can position myself, just below the imagine here. Great. Okay. And just allow the sound of the guitar to meet you. And just open up your body as a listening device, just receiving the sound of the guitar to begin with, maybe taking some cleansing breaths in to invite the sound of the guitar into your awareness to drop you in. Drop you into your body and your voice. Your voice body. And you might come back to the intention, the question I asked at the beginning of this talk. What are some of your desires, your wishes, your dreams around sound, around using sound as medicine, or maybe around using your voice more freely? I imagine, and maybe even just imagine, let's say a year from now, imagine that you've unlocked your voice in the world, your sound. You're free to share, you're free to show up, to be heard, to be seen, to be you. And just imagine, feel into that. What does it feel like? What is that like? My voice is free, I can be heard and seen. I am me, I am me. I am imagining. Imagine that your inner critic, and it's been healed, and the judgments, the monkey mind, the voices are gone. They've dissolved because your heart voice is louder. It's loud and clear, and you can feel deep confidence to speak, to sing, to act from this heart voice. What is that like? I I release the judgments, the critical voice dissolves, transforms. My heart voice is loud and clear. Oh, what is that like? Perhaps imagining that you have just boosted your overall vibration and your overall health. Your health is better physically, your health is better emotionally, your self-worth is expanded. And from that you have this ability to manifest all kinds of amazing things, beautiful things. What is that like? Feeling into that. My overall health is boosted. And I can manifest beautiful things, beautiful things. Maybe you want to sound it out with me too a little bit. What are you manifesting? That's beautiful. Beautiful. Let's do one more here. So just imagine all kinds of new opportunities just being drawn to you, attracted to you, new relationships, maybe new business opportunities, because your alignment with your authentic voice and vibration is just so tuned in, so keyed in, so in harmony. What is that like for you? All these new, beautiful, brilliant opportunities coming your way. Feel into it, breathe into it, sound into it. What does it sound like? Yeah. Wee, maybe. Wee, I. Yes. Woo, woo, woohoo. What do you see and feel for yourself? Nice. And let's take a big breath in and release the sound. Whatever sound wants to arise through you. Breathing when you need to. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All is welcome here. Sing it if you want to with me. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All is welcome, welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All is welcome, welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All of me is welcome here. All is welcome, welcome here. Beautiful. And just inviting all of that, breathing in and holding the breath if it's comfortable for you, just inviting all of that to integrate. As you breathe out, breathing it out and down through your roots, planting it where you are. Integrate, 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 stabilize, stabilize, stabilize. And just giving great thanks for this opportunity to be here together. Great thanks for your urge to be here to do this. And just great thanks for the support, the love. Yeah. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May we all be free from the roots of our suffering. Oof. Lots of energy. When I open up space, I'm projecting also, just so you know, into connecting with all those who are listening and whoever will listening. There's just lots of, I'm personally just lots of buoyant energy all through this whole area. Lots of powerhouses here. Lots of people ready to open up or to continue their opening up. So from this space of possibility and of more knowing that your voice is a powerful sound healing tool, I've got a couple invitations for you. And the first is my Sing, Pray, Heal sessions. And these are 6 on-demand vocal sound healing sessions filled with mantra chants, medicine songs, and meditation and more. And these sessions are awesome. They're designed to help you connect with and open your authentic heart voice, to help you amplify ease and resonance, to increase peace and harmony in your life, and to help you connect with the sacred through sound. So each session's about 60 minutes in length, and it includes a body breath warm-up, some medicine songs in English and other languages, some seed mantra practice, some kirtan mantra chanting in Sanskrit, some reflection opportunities with reflection journal questions, and then integration at the end, a more meditative time where I'll play some singing bowls and other sound healing devices for you to just really anchor and ground the session into you and your experience. So that's the Sing, Pray, Heal sessions. I also have, for those of you who are ready to take your ability to use your voice as a healing tool to the next level, I've got a vocal sound attunement activation. So this is a personal, private, one-on-one consultation and session with me where we'll help you connect with your personal sound more deeply, with your voice, and just to ignite the expression of your healing path. Okay, so things like we'll tune into your strengths, your vibrational strengths, and get clear also though on what's suppressing your natural resonance, your free voice, so you can start to shift anything going on with your expression right away. So it'll be an embodied activation for your throat chakra. We'll awaken healing codes. We'll call back your natural ability to use your vibration, your voice, your sound as a healing tool, and just really help you gain clarity, heal expression wounds, clear suppression, judgment, fear around your voice, and gain empowerment and ease in your expression so you can leave the session feeling heard, feeling open, feeling empowered, and more connected in your heart and your throat, and that connection there. Okay, so this is a really powerful experience, and I would love to invite you into that. And both of these you can bundle together you can get them individually or you can bundle them together for my vocal liberation bundle for even more impact. And as a bonus, I'm also offering a free gift when you take me up on either of these invitations to go deeper. So either one individually or as a bundle. When you do that, I'm offering you for free my Sound for Self-Healing guidebook. And this is a really awesome guidebook because in it, I'm giving you my top 12 recommendations and actionable steps. Those of you that like actionable steps, this is really awesome. Just to really help you to start to use sound in a more profound way for your healing transformation. So in this guide, I give you steps on how to make a personal mood playlist, for example. I give you guidelines for choosing music to impact your state and your mood. And there's things you can start to incorporate into your life right away. That's really important to me and hopefully useful for you. So it's an awesome little tool as my thank you for spending time with me here and for choosing to go deeper.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
So I always think the energy that you bring to it is the whole deal.
Yeah.
And the energy you brought to it is just incredible. It's wonderful.
Thank you, my brother.
Right. It's interesting. As a professional recording engineer, I worked with James Brown's band and the Doobie
Ooh,
Brothers and a lot of major groups,
cool.
right? And I got really good at discerning pitch.
Uh-huh.
And I suck at pitch.
Okay.
And so my whole journey has been to not focus on the pitch, but it's when and the two main things that have helped me is first to connect to higher powers.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm connected to source or higher beings, whether they be
Yes.
archangels, ascended master,
Yes.
positive
Yes.
aliens, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Only for our highest good, right? Right. If I'm connected to them, then it's like, woo, there's no thought
Yes.
of pitch. And in fact, I had quite a few students now that technically are not good singers,
Mm-hmm.
but their energy, everybody in the room was bawling
Yes.
because their energy. And this one woman, I mean, technically as a singer, she was not good at all, but she was unbelievable energy.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not always about the technical or even by industry standards, right? Because that's fads in a lot of ways too, right? There's different trends and different things that are like, oh, we're going for this sound, and connecting is significant.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for bringing up that point.
The other
Yes.
thing that I find that's really good is to think of it as service.
Mm-hmm.
Think,
Beautiful.
okay, the whole focus here is helping the people that I'm transmitting to,
You bet it
whether it's a
is.
treatment or even a sound bath, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like then you totally get out of your head and thinking about anything because you know, okay, all I care about is transmitting this intention of healing and connection to source to people.
Beautiful. Yep. Beautiful, beautiful ads. That's yes, beautiful. It's like a next level of people once we start to feel less intimidated about actually opening up our voice. Then once we're sharing it with people, yes, it's a service. It's not about me as much, and it is about the energy and the feeling for sure. Those are
Yeah.
great, great, great ads to what I shared.
We have a strict rule around here and everywhere. It's basically what you're saying is um, you can't do it wrong. And
Yes.
that's where you got to start. You can't do it wrong. Yeah,
100%.
and that's just hold that. It's a really strict.
Mhm.
You can't be out of pitch. You can't
Mhm.
do it wrong at all. It's always perfect.
All is welcome. All is welcome because even the out of pitch is necessary if it's coming through that way, right? It's
Yeah,
like the out
yeah.
of pitch is, or the slightly, I mean, when I think about the other scale systems or like more Eastern or Arabic, Egyptian, there's so many more microtones than what we might include in our 12 note system too, right? So just even making space for some of those microtones that are maybe more even embraced and accepted in other cultures, not necessarily in as much yet. But yeah, it's all
Yeah.
welcome. I love
I
it.
have one of our instructors who sang on top of Pachelbel Canon that I created
Mm-hmm.
on a CD,
Okay.
and her pitch was not very good at all,
Yeah.
right? But everybody I played it for could not stop bawling.
Right.
And this my one friend said, "Don't play that for me. I just going to start crying." So I
Mm-hmm.
used auto tune, which you know cleans up
Mm-hmm.
and fixes the pitch perfectly. No one bawled anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All it
Mm-hmm.
took all the energy out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love thank you for adding that because yes, auto tune's a tool, but it also can just take the heart out of it or the energy, as you said. As you're talking, I started to think about that Paulo Coelho. My goodness, I don't even know which book it was, but it's where she dances out of rhythm, and a big part of her process of getting into altered spaces to deliberately not be in, in tempo, and
Hmm.
that was so important, and it was a crucial piece to. Anyways, that just popped into my head, and I don't remember the title of the book. It's a Paulo Coelho book. It's but
Cool, cool.
yeah,
There's one
yeah.
other thing I wanted to add. When you were talking about how it can sounds can be negative,
Hmm.
you know, I think it's really important for people to know if they can't handle it in a sound bath, to leave, get up and leave,
Hmm.
really get up and leave because
Hmm.
there's two things, you know, it can be a bad sound bath. and
Hmm.
which is just not good energy. And I've been to a couple of where I'm like,
Yep.
I actually came out frazzled myself,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
I'm
And you're
and
seasoned.
right? Or there again, we've got a contract with a dementia company. We've got 200 adults with dementia, and some are really fragile. And there's we've done tests where 30% of them can't handle the crystal bowl.
Right.
I mean, we don't absolutely don't bring in the gong. So
Mm-hmm.
if people are fragile, for them to not
100%.
feel like there's something wrong with them, it's
Yep.
okay. It's
Yep.
okay. In
100%.
fact, think of it this way. If you're fragile and you're really triggered by sounds, you're actually more sensitive and picking up more subtle
Mm-hmm.
energies.
Mm-hmm. I would totally agree with you. Often when I'm holding space for people, like I'll encourage any of that. Like even sometimes changing your position can be enough to move or whatever's kind of going on. Or
Mhm.
what I usually ask people before, and yes, if they need to leave before totally, I usually ask them to give me an indication if something is like really intense, and then I can modify because there's lots of other things that we can do. And if I can support them to leave in a way that isn't dysregulated, that is, as a practitioner, my preference. However,
Yeah.
as participants, yeah, it's absolutely, we've got to do what we've got to do. And so if it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
can't do it,
You,
then can't do it.
there's one other part that I can share that's really that I teach in the class on doing sound baths. There's different curves you can
Hmm.
do. You can
Correct.
build
Yep.
up and break
Yep.
down. You can
Yes.
actually, some people like to, there's all different ones. The one I really like is where you go down, down,
Yep.
down, and then get even more peaceful,
Yep.
really down to perfect stillness, because most
Beauty.
people can handle that. And it's the
Yes.
safest type of curve
Yes.
to do
Yep.
in a group session. Whereas
Yes.
if you do something, you get really intense, like I'm even playing like five or four gongs, some people just can't handle that, right?
100%.
So,
Yep.
right. So, so yeah,
Yeah, I totally love that, and I feel it's important to speak to the fact that yeah, sound is really beneficial, but also it's really not sometimes,
yeah.
and just to educate people about that because it's yeah, it's like
But
it's not
also
always.
just what we're saying, if you do the right energy and set the intention that this is for the highest good of everybody,
Hmm.
I've never had anybody freak out in my sound baths.
Right, that is a big piece about holding the
Yeah,
container,
yeah,
and there are times. I don't know if I want to. Do I want to say? Yeah, within a private session because of the training that I feel the space I feel that I can hold. Sometimes having that stuff show up in a one-on-one can be benefit if we can move it through. In a group, it's completely different because it's not a
right,
one-on-one.
right.
It's not always appropriate. Like it's a lot of people can start to feel embarrassed or whatever. It's not always appropriate for that stuff to arise. But you're right, holding the intention. And I set intention. I even set an intention before, before, before talks. By the way, right, to reach other people. But that's a really key piece of the pie for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for your energy. Thank you
Love
for
it.
your presentation. It was sweet.
So much of a pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, and again, thanks for what you're doing. So yeah, well, I look forward to connecting more with you and those tuning in. And yeah, just thank you.
Right. Take care.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye.